Hello, my name is Heidi White. I just had a baby. So here's the story of what happened in a matter of, 2 hours and 15 minutes. So my doula called me at 10:15 just to see how Christmas Day went, and I told her I had nothing really happen. And then at 1 a.m. I had to go to the bathroom, which is pretty typical. And I went, and suddenly, I started really aching in my abdomen, and it moved to my back. It was really painful. So I went back into bed thinking, oh, I'll just lie down. But then I found that when I lied down, it didn't go away, and I felt like the pain intensified to the point where I thought I was going to throw up. So I went back to the bathroom, and I was on my hands and knees, ready to puke, and then it ended. So then I got back into bed and decided, well, that was different because I didn't feel my uterus contract. I just felt this major pain move from my front to my back, and so I was like, well, I'll just lay in bed and see if something progresses. So, maybe 5 minutes later, I had another one of those, and I had to actually get up in bed on my knees and start rocking because the pain was too intense to lay down and handle. And I endured another couple of those, and then I was like, I need to put on my TENS machine, which is this electrode thing that shoots pulses. So Joseph put that on me, and when he was doing that, the contractions got really intense suddenly. And so Joseph started timing them, and they were clocking at, 2 minutes? 3 minutes at the most.
2 minutes, basically.
Basically
2.5 minutes.
2.5 minutes, and they were about 45 seconds each. So generally more intense contractions are 60 to 90 seconds, but 3 minutes apart. But I was 45 seconds and a minute and a half to 2 minutes. So I'm laboring, and I told Joseph, I think we need to call Susan, or you suggested it.
Yeah.
So we called Susan. Joseph called Susan. You can tell this part.
And I told Susan, I was like, here's the deal. And she's like, well, it's only been about 20 minutes, why don't you just kind of wait it out a little bit? And, if it continues to last, then I'll start making my way over there. And so I hung up the phone and said, Heidi, just 20 more minutes, let's wait this out. And she said, and then I got a phone call right after, and she had reconsidered. She's like, you know what? She heard Heidi in the distance.
She heard me laboring. It was
and
really
she's
intense.
You guys need to get to the hospital right now.
And I'll meet you there.
She met us there. And so we pack up all our bags. We knocked on your guys' door, and we're like, hey, we're heading to the hospital.
We called the hospital, and you talked to
Yeah, I let them know
Lila.
we were coming, and she's like, yeah, bring her in. I can hear her screaming.
Well, I
So,
wasn't
But
loud,
loud,
loud moaning.
laboring pretty loud, and obviously was in a lot of pain. So we got here, and they instantly kind of checked her in and put her on the table to examine her. And
Except I was having contractions so fast.
they were becoming kind of one on top of another.
One on top of the
Kinda
other, almost. And
no
I was
breaks.
getting up to a point where I was feeling like I was going to poo. And then the nurse wanted me to get on the table so that she could check my cervix, see how dilated I was. And I was about to get on, but I'm like, no, I'm having another contraction. And then I started throwing up, and
She's like throwing up
diarrhea,
everywhere,
it was
pooing
nasty.
everywhere.
But
was
that's
awesome.
normal. But I
thought it was awesome.
I knew that because that was happening, that I was transitioning.
Yeah.
I was
It was like,
towards
this
the
is
end.
happening right now.
Because
Yeah,
that's
for
what
sure.
usually happens when your contractions move into you're at the end. And so I was just praying that when she checked me that I was not 3 centimeters.
Yeah. So she
'cause that was
checked,
last I knew.
her out, and sure enough, she was 8 centimeters.
Yeah.
And
So
we're
I
like,
had 2
wow.
centimeters to go.
So all of a sudden, Karen came, and that was great. I'm sorry, Susan came.
Yeah, Susan
and
showed up.
That was great. And Susan instantly, I didn't know what I was doing. I was trying to, help however
He
I
was
could.
pushing
but,
on my back, which was helpful.
but she got it right in there, and she was doing the right things. And it was great. That really put Heidi at ease. And then that lasted for a little bit. Then they got Heidi upstairs and brought us
And
into...
I had to go through contractions all the way
Yeah.
up to the elevator, in the elevator, getting to my room upstairs.
Yeah. Getting upstairs was a bit of an ordeal because she was still walking. and like she was walking here, and she'd have to stop every like minute, you know, and have this major contraction, get on the floor even,
Yeah.
and then get back
endure
up and
it.
keep walking. So it was kind of like
And I had cranked up my tens to where they were pretty much at their
yeah.
peak. And so we get into this room and have another contraction, and I'm squatting, and I'm feeling like
This
gravity's
is happening.
pushing on my, well, the sensation of birthing is feeling like you have to take the biggest dump of your life.
Yeah.
And I was feeling that. I was actually like grunting, like I was pushing out. And they're like, okay, well, we need to get you on the bed, so that she could check me again to see like if I was ready. Because she's like, if you feel like you need a push, then you're like immediately there. So I get on the bed, and in my next contraction, there's a pop, and my water just breaks and just gushes
Splashes
out.
all over, like the
Luckily,
back of her legs.
Lila,
and, like, her
the
feet.
midwife, had moved to the side to get something, so no one got directly nailed.
One of the doctors said, "I don't think I've ever seen that before."
Yeah, it was like a pop, like
yeah,
it
was
was
like
a little
literally like
pop
a balloon
burst,
popping,
like a
it was
water
like,
balloon just.
whoosh, like popping on the ground. It was awesome.
But the thing was that there's meconium in my amniotic fluid, which means dear Elizabeth had pooed inside the womb. So that meant that they would have to call in a pediatrician when I was birthing, and that they would take the baby out and check to make sure she was breathing and didn't inhale it.
Which meant that I would have less of a role on the delivery aspect, which we were hoping I could do. But that was okay. There was a couple tense moments when they weren't getting a good read on the baby.
During
the contractions, finding the heartbeat and all that kind of stuff, and so there was a bit tense moment. So I was quite happy to let the doctors do what they needed to do, and I was right there, you know, watching the whole thing, and I'd even touched the top of the baby's head. Elizabeth, I keep saying the baby, that Elizabeth's head, as Elizabeth came out.
Yeah. So I was in kind of a squatting position, vertical squatting position on the bed to begin with, I got into pushing, and Lila checked me right after my water broke, and she says, you're 9 centimeters, so you don't have much left. And I just kept telling myself, like, open up, you know, like, kind of that mantra, just trying to really focus. I was like, get open. And, like, within the next contraction, she was like, okay, we need to get you on your side, because she's like, okay, you're ready to go. And so I was laboring on my side for a bit, and then I got to a place where they're like, okay, let's move to pushing. So I was up and squatting, and they were holding my legs.
And one of the big things about the whole labor thing is we kept telling ourselves, like, we knew that Heidi wanted to embrace pain as opposed to fighting and tensing up and all that stuff. And so she kept kind of telling herself, like, say yes, say yes, say yes, say yes to the pain.
Open up, yes, baby, yes, baby, come on out. So, so then the next part was, okay, so I was actually pushing for a bit in that one position, but then, and the baby kept going in, you know, up and down, which was good. But then Lila's like, I think the baby's getting it's not the best position for the baby to come out. So they moved me to where I was more laying back and had my knees up, and had my hands behind my legs to push. And then Joe and Susan were holding my feet and my legs, and I don't know how long I was pushing for.
Maybe 10 minutes?
No, really?
Probably.
I felt, but
it felt longer. It wasn't that long. Really.
So I just kept pushing with my contractions, and that position that I changed into was really good, and the baby was really progressing, and
maybe 15 minutes.
15,
you probably
20
pushed
minutes.
Probably 15 times, I'd say.
Yeah. And then let's see, Lila was just really helpful in coaching. She goes, okay, you're doing it good. That was a great push. Do the exact same thing. And I felt like I had to put my chin down and do this, trying to put all my energy into down low. And once I got the hang of that, then it was way more efficient. And then eventually she's like, your baby's head is crowning, and it really burned, and you just kind of know, like, you just expect that, and kind of push through it. And I decided, there was a part where they stopped me and they're like, okay, you gotta breathe, like, you know, so that you don't really tear. And so I did that, and then they're like, okay, give a push.
One more big push.
And then I did another big push, and the head came out.
Head came out facing that way.
facing
Facing
okay,
that way.
to my
Whole
game.
thing.